Jake, why don't you introduce yourself, tell people a little about yourself, and then we can go from there.
All right. Yeah, my name's Jake Blauvelt, and I live in Waterbury Center, Vermont, and I also spend a lot of time out in Glacier, Washington, riding Mount Baker.
Sick.
Yeah.
Um, how many times as a kid did somebody, or even as an adult, do people screw up your last name and the pronunciation of it?
All the time. There's actually, I don't know if you've seen it. It's a forum video. I'm blanking on the name of the forum video. I think it was that actually, the forum video. And we were in Japan for one of the movie tours, and they were trying to pronounce my last name. And there's L's, and yeah, they have tough time with L's anyway. And then my name's just a hard name. And so that was the intro to my video part, is this Japanese guy trying to say my last name, and it's pretty hilarious. He just butchered it. Maybe the best I've ever heard, but yeah, it's pretty common. It gets butchered, and it's no offense taken.
Yeah, that's amazing. Let me ask you, why are you back in Vermont? I know you were born in Waterbury Center, and that's kind of where you grew up, and then you left for a while. I think you said 10 years or something like that. I was reading an interview. Why'd you decide to move back? Why'd you decide to make Vermont home for you and your family?
Well, yeah, like I said, I'm originally from Waterbury Center, Vermont, and it feels like home back here. And we've got my folks live here as well. My wife's mom lives here, and we wanted to start a family ourselves. And it makes sense to kind of start a family around our extended family. And it takes a village, especially when you have three of them like we do. So being able to pass them off to Nana and Grandpa and Grandma, and just have the whole help network was really crucial. And then just Vermont's is where my heart is, where my wife's heart is, and we love it here. It's home.
Yeah. It's funny. I talked to Steven Nyman last week, who also has 3 or 4 kids, and they're all running around like crazy during the interview. And like he's like,
Yeah.
I thought I'd have a nanny this morning, and I don't have a nanny this morning, and I have nobody to take care of the kids. So he's like turning on bubble guppies during the interview, and like he's like feeding them snacks and all this stuff.
I know, dude. It's so funny. We were supposed to have school for our oldest. She's 4, but she's got that cold that I kind of have as well, and so we can't send her into school. And so yeah, our childcare was botched for today as well. But luckily, we have a little apartment up here that I can sneak away to, and my wife's just fending them off while we do.
What's the age breakdown?
It's Bodhi is our youngest. He is 6 months, and then Amelia is in the middle. She's 2 years old, and Nella is 4 years old.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That's a tight group. My family's actually pretty similar. Like we have there's 4 of us. I have 3 younger siblings, and it's like there's the biggest gap is between me and the next closest sibling. It's like 3 years, but then it's like 20, 21, 22. Like everybody's like right in a row. Like it's just, I don't know how my parents did it. Like that sounds, but I think after me, they were like, oh, let's just chill out for a second here.
For real. So you said you're the oldest?
I'm the oldest. Yeah, 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Must have never been a dull moment in that household.
Oh no, for sure. And especially when you got to go to like do stuff. And like my family is in the outdoor industry, and like doing anything with 6 people really is insane. And you guys have 5, and it's going to be, yeah.
I know. My wife and I just succumbed to the minivan. We're going to get a minivan.
What'd you get? What kind of minivan did you get?
We haven't got it yet, but we placed an order. We're going to get a Sienna, man.
Oh, man. That's when you know life is changing, is when you switch.
We constantly told ourselves, like, no, we won't be those people. But then we actually rented one when we were out in Seattle to get up to Glacier. And because it just made sense to rent a minivan. And we only had it for 2 days, but we're like, damn, this is nice.
It's crazy. Like, I feel like everybody says the same thing, and they're just like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then it happens.
It's totally function over fashion at this point. It just made life so much easier. We got to put our egos aside and just do it.
If can I like why a minivan over something like, I don't know, like I feel like a lot of people are moving into like van lifestyles, and those are really easy to kind of convert over into like a
Right.
multi-use vehicle, right? Like put the
That's a
kids in
good
it.
question. Yeah, you're right on it. We tried to order a Sprinter. We were going to get one of
No
the
kidding.
passenger van, like the smallest Sprinter, most compact. It's like the 144-inch wheelbase, whatever. No lifted roof or anything. No like camper conversion. It was just going to be the passenger with the 4 bench seats. We were going to take the back bench seat out so we can cram shit in the back and then have all the kids in there. But dude, you can't get a Sprinter. You can't even order one right now
Yeah.
because like the world is crazy in supply and demand. And it's funny, like I'm the one barking down the car salesman, like, dude, call me back. Normally it's the other way around, but yeah, so we can't get a, a cool van, so we're
Yeah.
getting a minivan.
Sienna's
Yeah,
pretty cool. You can trick that thing out. If Pimp My Ride still existed, I'm sure that would be on the
right.
front runner
Get
for, yeah.
lifted and yeah, right.
Yeah, pro snowboarder Jake Blauvelt sets up his Sienna. Get like a fish tank in the middle or something.
Right.
So I want to ask you some questions about the event that you just had. Blauvelt's Banks just finished up. I wanted to do the interview beforehand, but it's all good. COVID kind of murdered that. But talk to me a little bit about the event, why you do the event, what the idea was going into it, and how it went.
Mm-hmm. Well, so we hold the event at Bolton Valley. That's right in between Waterbury and Burlington. It's actually the resort that I grew up and learned how to ride at. And so it feels cool to have everything kind of come full circle. And I've been out west for so long. And then to come back to the resort, little mom and pop, like independently owned, amazing resort where, yeah, I can come back to and kind of give back to the community that has given me so much over the years. And I really enjoy bank slaloms as well. I've,
Mm.
raced in like Baker Banked and the Rat Race for Drink Water and a couple others. And so I just randomly like cold called Bolton and was like, dude, you guys want to have a bank slalom at your resort? I'd love to host it. And they've been so receptive and so just so helpful in setting it all up. And so it's amazing to be able to bring the whole East Coast. It's really a lot of New England. We even get some people coming from out west out for the event. It's just amazing to get everyone together, especially this year after COVID. It's like you realize like how important it is to be able to bring the community together and just be together and snowboard and share the love of snowboarding and being together. And we're all healthy for the most part and not getting bombed. And we just are so grateful to be where we are. And then at the same time, we can raise money for a good cause. And so the first year we held it in 2020, right before the pandemic set in, we just donated to protect our winters. And then we had to take a year off last year due to COVID. It just didn't feel right. And so this was the second year we've held it. And we managed to raise a little over 12 grand for funding for a skate park, proper concrete skate park in Waterbury. And so, yeah, because we don't really we've got a pretty dilapidated skate park down the road, and it's kind of getting sketchy and towards its last leg. And so to be able to get everyone together and raise money for an awesome cause, it feels amazing.
Yeah. How important is like having a skate, because like we just got a new one in town here. Like I feel like skate parks are starting to pop up and get redone more and more. How important do you feel like having a good skate park is for the culture of skateboarding and for snowboarding going forward, right? Because I think that's where, I don't know, as a kid, like I rode BMX bikes a ton, and like having a skate park and a place to go where you're just like, I'm going to hang out here for the day, it was so important to me. So I imagine for you, it's kind of the same, and now you get the opportunity to kind of give back to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I started skateboarding before snowboarding just because skating's so much more accessible than snowboarding. You don't need a pass and all the gear. You just need to skate, really.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what led me into riding boards was skateboarding. But when I was growing up skating in Waterbury, it's like we would go to the town clerk office, but only after hours because we'd always get kicked out.
Right.
There's one curb, we get kicked out of there. Everywhere we wanted to skate, we had to do it after hours, which wasn't really working. And so, now with skateboarding being so much more mainstream, it seems like finally people have caught on to like, oh yeah, it's not just a bunch of like losers and druggies and people, the normal stereotype there used to be with skaters. It's like, no, these guys are like athletes and they want to skate, and just to be able to give kids something to do instead of just sitting on their ass or on their phones or on their devices. I think it's really important for the health of the community, and it will bring a lot of people into Waterbury who will therefore then, go to the restaurant down the road, and it's just going to bring more life to an already lively community. And so I think that it just kind of sets the community and the next generation up for success.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think having that in a community is a huge thing. And you're right. I think that stigma of like skateboarders are just like kind of dirt bags. Like it's
Yeah.
not, it's going away more and more. And you're starting to see people understand it as like part of culture. And I think people dress like skaters even when they don't skate. And I'm guilty of this too. Like as a 27-year-old, am starting to skateboard now. Like, and
Right.
it's because like all I do is pretty much watch skateboard videos and wish I skateboarded from a younger age. So it's so bizarre. I think people are starting to pick it up more and more as like, I don't know, as a thing that they're like, all right, I really want to focus in on this.
No doubt. It's like it's an Olympic sport now. It's like you can't really argue. It's not a fad,
Yeah.
like people used to call it. Like it's here to stay, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I was watching Godspeed by Devontae Jolly, and I don't know if you saw this or not. It's an incredible skateboard video, and it's part of like the reason that it's so good is because they have these interactions with people while they're on the street that are like, look, we're doing the same. They're like talking to people that own property, and they're talking to people that are like lawyers and accountants, and they're like, look, we're the same as you. Like we're just trying to get like we're doing a job. Like this is what we're doing. And this is just the career path that we've chosen. And I just thought that mix of like incredible skating and having that actual conversation was like, that's what made it for me.
Yeah, that's sick. I would like to see that. That's awesome.
You should. I'll send it to you after. It's incredible. It's like it's probably the best skate video that I've seen in a long time. Can I? So, what? Why Bolton Valley? I know it's where you grew up, and I feel like, and I don't want to phrase this question like I don't think it's the best choice. I actually think Bolton Valley is the perfect choice to do an event like this, because of the way the culture is there, and if people haven't. I'm like trying to not talk it up too much so that people aren't like everybody go to Bolton Valley, like and then blow up the scene there. But like it's incredible. Like the scene there, even in the summer, like I spend a lot of time riding mountain bikes, and like they are in a totally different world than everybody else when it comes to that kind of thing. They're like, we're gonna put the most fun shit here. Like that's what our goal is like we're just here to have fun, and we're gonna put stuff for people that actually ride and that actually ski, snowboard, whatever.
Yeah. Let's see. How do I answer this without being too negative about other resorts in the area?
Oh, I have questions about other resorts in the area too. So don't worry. We could be negative in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I think that just Bolton, like I said, it's where I grew up riding, and it's great to have everything come full circle. But yeah, like you said, it's just they do everything right. They do everything for the right reason. It's like, no, not to make a bunch of money or get a bunch of this or that. It's like, no, we're going to set up some sick mountain bike trails for the summer because that's what people want. Like they took the, what was it, Talent Skate Park ramps, and they reused those and set up an indoor facility for skating and all that in their parking lot. And I don't know, Bolton is just, every time I get done riding at Bolton, whether it's riding my snowboard or snow skating, which very few resorts allow in the area, I think is fucking awesome. It's like every time I get done at Bolton, I'm like, I have a really good taste left in my mouth. I'm like, dude, I want to come back. I want more of that. Like they have night riding too. It's just good vibes up there. Good people doing it for the right reasons. Whereas, you go to some other places and it's like you sit on the access road up to these other resorts in the area, and it's like you sit on the access road for 2 hours, fight like bumper to bumper traffic, which should be like a 15-minute drive. Then you get up there and you're just battling these pricks all day long in these enormous lift lines. You get fucking 2 runs all day on like, I don't know, with just overcrowded runs. You're like, dude, what am I doing? I don't like, if this was how it was when I was learning how to ride, I don't even think I'd ride, because it doesn't even feel like the same activity. I just like was around a bunch of people in line all day, but that doesn't happen at Bolton. So if that answers your question.
It does. And I think the vibe at Bolton is really, it's it. Like, it really is. There's, like you mentioned, there's night riding. That's great. In the summer, it's like you can go mountain biking until 7 p.m. there, and like they'll spin lifts, and like it's totally fair game. And it creates a sense of community around what they do. And I think that part adds to it a bit as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, you know, privately owned, independently owned by the Delorier family, and they're awesome people. They're not owned by some big conglomerate out of towners. You know, it's like they're Vermonters doing it for the right reason. It's like it's good vibes up there.
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of there's literally a whole Instagram account that's blown up this season for lift lines, specifically for epic stuff, obviously. But
dude, yeah, why did it get so bad? Like, why is it so bad?
Well, I think everybody wanted to go, right? Like, I mean, I've been in the shop for a while, and like I can tell you, like, our rentals were up like 200% or something like that.
Yeah.
So like new people in the sport, that part's rad. But like you said, I think it's a huge detriment to the sport that people are just waiting in lines over and over and over and over again, because like then it's not fun. Like, that's like going to, and then we have like things that tried to get introduced, like Fast Pass and stuff like that. Like that, not that it was Epic that did that, but like, are we becoming like Universal Studios? Like, what's like, what? Yeah. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, but I'm really torn, because I agree. I think I would love it if everybody could get up there, but it's like, if everybody's up there, it's not the same deal. And so, yeah, I'm really torn about it. It's like, if you go back to really expensive passes, like over $2,000, that whittles out a lot of people, but then it becomes like even more of an elitist thing, which I don't think is right. So yeah, I don't know really how to feel about it. All I know is that like, it just kind of sucks going up there a lot of times. Like if it snows like an inch or more, that's considered a POW day. And dude, like, you're better off hiking.
Yeah,
like,
a
lot of people go to the Waterbury Dam, which is like 100 feet of vertical, just all open face, and they POW surf that on busy days.
Yeah, Brendan Sauer showed me, like, and I was just like, oh, this is rad. This is where
but at least you're like keeping busy and not waiting in line, and you're hiking and earning your turns. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, you talk about it forever, and I don't have a solution for it, but it's just, I think there is crazy.
A solution. The solution is like limiting access. Like, you got to be like, okay, look, we're full for today. Like, you can't sell 2.1 million Epic passes, up from like 700,000 last year, and then go, oh, there's more people here.
Like, yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, that's true.
Like, just limit it a little more. Like, Icon Resorts seem to have less issues with this. Not that they have their own issues, but it's just in a different place. And I don't know. I don't want to spend this whole time talking about Epic, but it's like, it's a mess. I do have a question though about another resort, and a couple one that's very close to you, and a couple that are all over the place. There's 3, I think, in total. Yeah. Why do places like Mad River not allow snowboarding still? Like, it's 2022. Yeah, what is going on? Like, can we just have this conversation?
Yeah. It's funny. I don't even really think about Mad River. Like, they're over in the valley, and like, there's Sugarbush is right there. Sugarbush is dope. And Mad River, I don't know. It's just like, it's never on my mind. Like, I don't think about them, because they don't want us and we don't want them, I guess, is what it comes down to.
If you're not wanted, why would you?
Yeah. It's like, but it's weird. It's very weird that there's still that segregation in 2022. Like, how many other, there, Deer Valley?
Alta and Deer Valley. Alta's the one that bums me out, I think, the most. because it's sick. Like it's a ton
It would
of
be
fun.
sick to ride there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. And like you get people coming over from Snowbird, like making that kind of trek over and riding down for one run. But like it's not, it's not,
yeah,
and they'll let you do that, but it's not accessible from the
yeah.
lift at all, which is
Right.
like, it just
I-
seems so dated.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there for Mad River to open it up and make some fuss about it. Like, it's been all these years and we've had it separate, and now we're gonna open it up because it's 2022, and they could make a lot of fuss and it would be really cool. But I don't know. For the time being, I just don't even think about them. Like, they can have it, whatever.
If that's what they want. But it seems like from a skier's perspective, it doesn't seem like the kind of place that would be like wanting to have exclusion. It
Right.
seems like a cool place that people
Yeah.
want to go hang out at. But then
Yeah.
they're like, oh, no snowboarders. And to me, I'm like, you're cutting out half of the possible people that could ride at your mountain. Like,
Right.
why?
And like a lot of pro skiers, or at least the pro skiers I know, they look at snowboarders for style
A
and tricks.
100%.
And so it's like, yeah, I don't know. I wonder who's in charge at Mad River, what's really going on.
Well, hopefully they're listening, and maybe not that this is going to be the thing that changes anybody's mind, but like
Yeah, right.
we can stir the pot a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
it seems like you've done a really good job at holding on to sponsors and keeping sponsors happy and being just a good representative of the brands that you work for. Can you talk to me a little bit about that and how you've managed these relationships over time, especially as your career's kind of progressed? You have kids, like things are busy, and every year I'm sure it seems to get busier and busier. You've had a pro model snowboard since like with Ride since like what, 2007, maybe even earlier. Like the earliest one I could find graphically was 2007.
I think that sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think like initially I was on with Forum Snowboards, and Forum was great. They were amazing. I had a lot of good friends, awesome team, and they were doing it right. But then they were acquired by Burton, and Burton's an amazing company. Don't get me wrong. Like they're local. Jake and Donna, like Jake was an amazing dude, and Donna is awesome. My mom actually used to do their landscaping, their flowers, and so we would always be invited to their parties. So like Burton's just part of the scene here. Anyway, but when Burton took over Forum, I could just see that the product was really going downhill. It was like they weren't putting any effort into making the product better. And that's a lot of what I enjoy doing with the brands that I work with, is working on product development. I'm not so much into like graphics or colorways or styles, like I kind of struggle with that stuff, and I'll be the first to admit. But when it comes to like working on camber profiles or side cut, or, just shapes of a snowboard or binding straps, any of that stuff, I really enjoy it. Like I authentically enjoy it. And so I think that the brands, they value that in me, and I like it too. And so after I left Forum, I made a conscious effort to join brands that make good product and are authentic brands. And so, where I ended up landing on my feet with Ride, who's been amazing since the beginning. They gave me a pro model right off the bat, and the Berserker now with Ride it sells really well every year. And it's funny, like I've got extra Berserkers every year, and I give them out to select people who I know can handle the Berserker. Because if you're not riding the Berserker will ride you. But it's like I give it to certain people who are chargers, like say up at Baker, and dude, they're like, dude, this is the best board I've ever ridden. Like, where
Yeah.
has this thing been? And that feels so good to hear that, because that's what I really enjoy doing, is making better product for brands. And so, yeah, with Ride, and then with Smith, Smith is amazing. And obviously North Face, like North Face is killing it. They make insane product. Future Light was really cool to be a part of. to launch that, help launch that and develop that. And I think that was a huge step for them, getting away from Gore-Tex and just going with their own material. So just working with brands who are in it for the right reasons, doing it authentically, and that give me opportunity to develop product, and then also to work on my own projects, my own film projects. Because it's like snowboarding is a individual sport, you know, or activity lifestyle. And so that was one thing I struggled with a lot with on forum, was like, we were a team. It's like,
Right.
you're part of this team and you guys are going here to do that and there to do that. And like, they were also telling me to like develop an image, like grow dreadlocks and, you know, get the whole hippie vibe. It's like, dude, my hair's not thick enough for dreadlocks and I can't do this. And like, and I was so impressionable at that age. And it's just really, it's kind of a weird vibe. And so to be with all of these brands I'm with now, with Darn Tough as well, being such a local company, I've worn their socks ever since their beginning. It feels right. It feels really good. And the fact that they allow me room to spread my wings and trust me to do my own thing, I think it's a pretty nice symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And before we kind of move on to a couple of the other brands, I want to talk about the Berserker because it's been in the line for so long. So I want to know, first of all, Ride has gone through so many changes, I feel like, over the course of the last 15 years. There's like so many, I almost want to put them into, you know, timelines, like where it's like, okay, Ride was doing this, they were really cool, and then they were super focused on bindings, and then they came out with like Slime Wall, and then they came out with like all the stuff that they're doing now, and like they're super focused on the Pig series. But across that whole time, the Berserker has been a standard in their line every single year. So is there a year when you were like, this is the best Berserker that exists? Is there one that's a favorite, even if it's not the one that's the latest? Because I feel like that's the easy answer, is like, oh
yeah, it is, man. I mean, I hate to say the easy answer, but it really is. Like this one, within the last, it's next year's, which I've been riding this year, and the one that's currently out for people to buy now. These last two models, and the one that people will be able to buy next year as well. And I don't think we plan to change it for the following year. Anyway, it's just gone through minor tweaks every 2 or 3 years since the beginning. And we keep dialing it in that much more. And it's always trying to balance, because I like riding powder, obviously, but I also come from like a hard pack East Coast half pipe scene. And so I'm always trying to find the best of both worlds, where it's like you can ride that board in the pipe, you can hold rail, go through chop, super responsive, real twitchy, stable tail. It's directional, but you can still ride it switch. Like, don't let the directional name fool you. And so like the last tweaks we put in just a little bit of taper, and that little bit of taper along with a little different side cut profile, somehow it just like it clicked. And what we do with Ride is we do blind board tests, which are Michael Chilton, the board engineer, he'll come up, he'll know the direction that I want to take it, we'll agree on a direction to go, and then he'll come out with 4 or 5 white blank boards, and he'll send them to me and have me take them up to the hill. You take 2 runs on each board on the same run. So it ends up taking the better part of the day. And you're not allowed to take the board out of the wrapper and look down the camber profile or any of that. You just strap it on and go. And then you write down your feedback. And then eventually you're like, damn, board C was the shit and board D sucked. And then you send all of that info back to Michael and the Ride guys, and they're like, well, this is why you like that. And so there's no preconceived notions with the blind board test, and you learn a lot. And I think that really helps my snowboarding too, is knowing what you like, what you don't like. It gives you confidence when you're going in to features. You're like, dude, my tail's going to hold up on this landing, like, because I know the profile in that tail. I know that it's all there. Instead of like, I remember when I was on forum, it was when banana was really coming in.
Oh yeah.
so many lines. I was coming down like sick line, sick line. This is gonna be a dope shot. And then like mandatory cliff exit, land off the cliff and wheelie out and
Yeah.
botch the whole shot. And it's like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, and I had to blame it on the board. Like
Yeah.
I would have been so squared up on that. And so just little things like that, knowing the board inside and out, it gives you a lot of confidence in your riding, in my riding.
So when you're building a board and you're kind of going through these tests, how much of the consideration that you're selling it to retail goes into your head? Or is it just like I'm building this board for what I like and that's what matters to me? Because I feel like there's a big distinction between you riding a board and somebody who's buying your board off the shelf. And I would hope.
It's true. Yeah, that's a good question. It's true. Brian Knox, actually, he phrased it really well back when I was on Forum. He was my team manager back then. And I would always get the Forum boards like beefed up, stiffer flex profile for me. And it wasn't the stock board. And he was like, yeah, it's like, the motocross racers, they're not on stock bikes. They're on juiced up bikes out there. And that's what we need to be on too. And so initially, like for the first 5 or 6 pro models on the Berserker with Ride, they were different than what I was giving the consumer. And I always had a goal of trying to make the Berserker the same as what the general public was offered. But now I feel like my style has changed a little bit over the years. I like a little softer board. And so therefore we've been able to I like the stock Berserker that is offered to everybody right now. But I will say that like, it's a very advanced board, like I said earlier, it's like, if you're not riding it or you're tired or whatnot, it's going to ride you and you're going to just get tossed all around the mountain.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of board that I like to be on. And that's the board that I want to be able to give back to the industry. Yeah. And so it's like, you watch most of the guys on Ride right now, if they're in powder or like all terrain stuff, they're on the Berserker. And that just kind of solidifies like, dude, we did it. Like we made the board that other team riders want to be on, and hopefully other real good chargers want to be on as well.
Yeah. How have you felt? So Ride's kind of gone through a little bit of a resurgence lately with the Pig Series stuff, and I feel like that's brought them almost back into the mix. Not that they were ever dead or whatever, but it's brought a board that people walk into stores and they have nothing else in their mind other than, like, they'll literally hang up the phone. They'll call and be like, hey, do you have a War Pig? No? Yeah. Cool, bye. Like, it's that kind of situation. How do you feel about a board like that starting to get, like, that shape of board starting to get so much clout in the industry? Because it's not just Ride, it's a lot of brands too that are starting to make these like fat profile front end boards that are somewhat directional, but like also twins. Like they make so many different variations of this series now and are doubling down on it. How do you feel about that kind of shaping going forward in snowboarding?
Yeah, I think that they hit it on the head when the Pig came out, and I think they completely succeeded in making a board that has a lot of hype and people really enjoy riding. I think like the general public really likes that board. And how do I say this? I need to I like my board better, but there's a place for the Pig, definitely. But like I said, like I have size 9 feet, so I can fit into a narrower board. And I know that I like narrow boards because it gives you that quick, responsive edge to edge. And we also make the Berserker in wide for anybody who wants, has wide feet.
We're selling a lot of Berserkers out of this episode. We're selling tons of Berserkers right now.
Yes, good. Anyway, I mean, I think there's a place for pigs, obviously, but for me personally and my riding style, I don't follow the hype. I follow what I like to ride and how I like to ride. And luckily for me, I'm able to develop my own snowboard with one of the best snowboard brands out there. And so I'm incredibly fortunate. And Other people, maybe they don't know what they like. And so they're just going with the hype, and you can't argue with that either. And I think that they're going to have fun on it regardless. But for me, yeah, I like a board that's a little more traditional in shape, but then it's got all those little tweaks that I've been able to put into it with the engineers over the years. So if that answers
Yeah.
your question,
Yeah.
yeah.
What is, this is one of the last things I'll ask you, and then I'll let you get out of here. But what has gone into the longevity of your career? I think you see so many people come and go in this industry, and you've been a staple throughout, for lack of a better term, throughout the industry for so long. It feels like, not to call you old. Every time I bring up this conversation, I'm like, I don't want to call you old because you're not old. But
oh, good. No, yeah.
but how have you made a career that's as brutal on the body, like snowboarding, last this long?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. And I always was one of the young kids. I was always the young kid. I started like riding professionally when I was 16, traveling with the Forum guys with like Devin Walsh and JP Walker. And I always considered myself the young guy, but now I'm the old guy, and that's all right because I get to teach some of the young guys what's up. Like my nephew, Mason Lemry, he's killing it, and it feels so good to be able to take him under the wing and show him like Devin and those guys did to me. But to answer your question, what goes into the longevity, I think is there were times couple like 3, 4, 5 years ago when I was feeling really burnt out. Like, what am I doing? Like, I almost didn't enjoy it. I was just jaded, kind of. But then did a little soul searching and really looked deep and was like, dude, I'm so lucky to be able to do this. And why do I do it? I do it for the camaraderie with like everyone I get to hang out with out there, the filmers, photographers, other riders, all the people you meet around the world. It's like all you should feel is fortunate that you are in this position to do what you do. And feel fortunate and also be passionate about what you're doing. I'm passionate about trying to push snowboarding, but even more so just being in the outdoors in like beautiful mountains and being able to be in places in the world where maybe oftentimes no one else has ever been. That's what I'm passionate about is being able to push snowboarding and be just feeling fortunate. And where to also with longevity is I always tried to take care of my body. Like I got a really bad bulge disc like maybe 10 years ago now, and that got me into a lot of body care because like when you're young you don't really have to take care of your body as much, but then with that injury I learned that like you're not going to be able to do this forever, but you can do it a hell of a lot longer if you do take care of your body. And so luckily I was raised in a family that taught me to eat good food, which I think is first and foremost like all about your health, having good mental clarity, like good mental state and eating good food. And then also stretching, balancing strength with flexibility has always been a main concern of mine. And so like, yeah, in the preseason, I work out. Like, I'm not like proud to say it. I don't want to be like a jock, but that's the job part is like when I go into the gym, I'm getting strong. I'm picturing how hard I'm going to be able to charge that preseason and the season that's going to come. And so, yeah, I think just like being passionate, fortunate, taking good care of your body, that's what's led me to still be here.
Yeah. It's funny. Ahmet Dadali said something similar last week where he was kind of alluding to freestyle skiing and freeride skiing being like, we hate working out. We don't want to be jocks. We don't want to be athletes, right?
Right.
We want to be skiers and riders, and we want to push the envelope and just be that counterculture. And snowboarding has a lot of that too.
Yes.
But he was like, lately we've all smartened up, like, and we've been like, oh, if we want to be here, like, you see Tanner Hall in the gym, you see Nyman all shredded, you have to do these kind of things if you want to make a career out of this for a long period of time, because it actually is, it's legitimately body armor for.
Yeah, oh, for sure. You like maybe back when it was all starting back in the 90s and everyone was just doing little indies and tindies and whatnot. It's like, yeah, you could kind of get away with it with the counterculture stuff. But now it's like people are doing triple corks and
People are
charging
sending.
gnarly big mountain lines and like it's fucking gnarly now. And so you gotta like tune up your body or you're not gonna hold up.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone's smartened up, luckily, and I think they'll be better off for it. But like I always say, like snowboarding and everything that's like when I'm strapped in isn't much of a job. Like sometimes the travel is, but we're fortunate to be able to travel. But like the job part is maintaining my body. But then it's like that job that doesn't suck because you're so much better off just in life in general when you have a healthy body. So
Yeah.
yeah, that job part is just keeping the body tuned.
Last thing I'll ask you here, because you mentioned it and it was one of the things I've kind of been thinking about a lot. What does good food mean? What does that mean to you? Because there's so many kind of fad diets out right now, and that's a big push. It's like people are focused on carnivore diets and keto diets and this diet and that diet. And people get this weird perception of what good food actually is. So can you speak on that a little bit and what you mean when you say that?
Yeah, good food for me, I think, is just whole food. Like I'm not a vegetarian by any means. We good meat, whether it's the meat that we raise chickens for meat, and then my folks have a bunch of hens for eggs. So getting like all local meat. My cousins raise cows and pigs, and not like we eat a bunch of meat, but when we do eat meat, it's really good meat. And then obviously lots of vegetables. And I think just trying to eat everything that's good, whole, organic, local food, which a lot of people don't have access to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're incredibly fortunate, especially up here in northern Vermont. In the summertime, in the growing months, it's like there are better places to be for good food, but we're really fortunate in that regard. So that's just, not like pigeonholing yourself with like a keto diet or this or that diet. It's just like eating good whole food.
Yeah.
That's what it means to me.
Yeah. Makes a big difference. And I
Lots
think
of water too. Like drink lots of water.
yeah. I'm terrible at drinking water. This is one of the things that I need to work on so
Yeah,
aggressively.
a lot of people like, I'm like, dude, you haven't drank water all day. How are you still standing? Like I'm like constantly pissing all the time, but it's because I drink a lot of water, and just eat good food.
Yeah.
I
Just
think that
flush it.
that's how I like it, but I'm not like super strict by any means. It's just trying to eat good, healthy food.
Yeah. There's a huge resurgence for getting local food and getting quality food and nutrition into your body lately. And that's one of the things I think that's come back that I am so here for. It's one of the most important things that people can actually pay attention to. It's funny, I joke around and I tweeted the other day something about like the reason that I do hard outdoor activities all the time is because I want to go and eat Taco Bell every once in a while. But it's like, and here I am preaching about like eating good food, but it's all about balance. Sometimes you got to give into that, I have to give into that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And people are in really difficult situations where they've got like 3 kids to feed and they're on a strapped budget, and you can go to Mickey D's and get everyone fed for $10.
Yeah,
And
right. It's hard to preach this when there's that available.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to be closed-minded about that because I do realize like where a lot of people are struggling that way. So it would be nice if we could make good, whole, organic, local food more accessible for the general public. I think that we'd have a lot fewer problems, therefore, in the community. But that's a bigger problem and a bigger subject to talk about. I think.
Maybe not our battle to fight right now.
Yeah, right.
We'll work on Mad River and selling Berserkers. Where can people find you on the internet? Where can people find you on social? Anything they want to learn more about you? All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Plug away. Feel free.
Yeah, man. I think just Instagram's the best way to follow me. It's just Jake_Blauvelt on Insta. But I'll be the first to admit, like we try and be conscious also about like not always being on our devices in front of the kids, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
always with the kids, and so it's really hard. Like these days, I struggle with it. Is like always posting, but then not always having your phone in front of the kids and whatnot, and so I'll try and do the best I can to keep everyone informed on what's going on. But yeah, I think that yeah, there are. How do I say this? It's funny. It's just like social was never a thing when I was starting snowboarding. It was like, yeah, you just focus on snowboarding and let everyone else do the social media stuff. Or social media wasn't even a thing, but do all the branding and marketing. And now it's like when you're up on top of a line and you're just trying to focus, but you got to freaking click your GoPro, you got to be taking shots, and then you got to post it right away. And so I struggle with social a lot, but long, long answer is yeah, you can find me
You,
big
you can
underscore
follow what
Blauvel.
you want to show on social.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. And also thank you to people at Dart Tough for setting this up. I wish we had done this in person, but we got a fancy new studio these days, so I figured we might as well use it, and I'll come up there for a better reason, like we'll ride bikes or snowboard or
Hell yeah,
whatever.
man. Hit
So
me up.
for
That
sure.
sounds great. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for doing this. I'll talk to you soon. I'll send you everything once this is ready to roll.
Sounds good, man. You take care. Thank you.
All right, brother. Later.
All right.